What's going on, Big Blue Nation? Welcome to another episode of the Bleed Blue Daily Show. And today we have a special guest who is joining us fresh off the CMT Music Awards. I saw he was going last night, and I was like, man, this could be a rough morning for him or a day. So, Mr. JD Shelburne, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, man? It's good to be here, man. Yeah, last night was fun. I'm went to gym this morning, got showered. I'm a new man right now, man. Ready to rock.
Did you need any liquid IV?
No, man. Actually, I wasn't out as late as I thought I was going to be. We had a good time though. It was a good night. But man, this is my first rodeo, and I've done this for years, going to all these late night parties, waking up, going to shows, and doing interviews. So here I am, man. Clean shave. Let's do this.
Probably doesn't hit the way it was, say, like the first time you did it.
Yeah, first time you hit it, man, you don't even look at your watch, and now you're like, man, I got to get up in the morning, and it's I don't know.
How many hours away are we from getting up? Oh, dang.
I know, right? Yeah, I've been there so many times, man. I've got a few grays in my beard because of those late nights, but I cover those up every now and then. So,
how old are you, JD?
42.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, I get it. So I'm almost 39 now. And so I understand the you do things. I think last night it was like 10:30 and my daughter was getting kind of really wanting to be like all snuggly and I was just like, let's just all go get in our bed and just turn the TV on and then like just end the night. It'd be good. Man, it's been a little bit since we talked last. Kentucky football's not been doing still kind of where they are, but basketball's going well. Just got back a little late start today because we started I was at Mark Pope's press conference, and obviously you got to meet him and spend time with him. What was that experience like?
Man, it could have been better. I've been a lifelong Kentucky fan. I've met all the coaches in my lifetime, the last 3 or 4, and Cal's always been great to me as well. But Pope actually reached out to me. I've never had a UK coach reach out to me on socials. One of the contacts at the UK office and actually invite me to practice. I mean, that was pretty surreal, man. I've been a lifelong Kentucky fan, and I just to get Pope support, man. He wants to meet people in the industry that are big time supporters of the program, and he considered me one of those. So I was very humbled by that, and he treated my whole family like he'd known us his whole life. I mean, I'm so happy for his success so far, and there's no one better for the job than Mark Pope. I mean, he's doing well. Really excited to take it
here. This was like one of the first times I've actually got to be in the room. Like, I think it's hard sometimes to get to press conferences when this isn't the thing you're trying. This isn't like a full-time thing. And this is the first press conference I've been able to make. So really getting that time where it's just kind of him in a room with only another 10 people having those interactions, and listening to him talk is so different. And like how he started, we posted a clip of social media on this, how he talks about like rotations, and I mean the guy is like a nerd.
He's smart, man. He analyzes these other teams. It's amazing what he knows about the other teams. I've been reading on socials like how Mark I guess just prepares for every game and knows every player on the team and what their stats. And I mean, it's remarkable by a coach. I mean, it's amazing. It's how he gets it. I wasn't really sure when Pope was hired if it was a job was too big for him, but not anymore. I mean, he's perfect for the job. I mean, just embracing it, just super nice. It seems like the media really love him. It's actually really refreshing to see the media actually happy and supportive of even national folks that are not big Kentucky fans, really giving kudos to Mark Pope. So it's all around. It's just been a great change for us. And I would have never dreamed that we would have won that Duke game like we did. We just fought, and man, I'm pumped.
I mean, Jeff Goodman and Tyler Hansborough both said they love Pope. So,
which is hard to believe. And I saw Gary Parrish kind of give us kudos too. I haven't seen a Gary Parrish Kentucky tweet in years. And so
yeah, he had us pretty high in his rankings too.
He did. I was impressed. And so it's really great to see the respect we're getting, Kentucky getting back to where we once were. So sky's the limit for Pope right now. And this team is just, if you would have told me actually that we'd have beat Duke and Jackson Robinson would have scored 1 point, I'd be like, there's no possible way. And
there's some clips of me saying some silly things about that on the show right before the game.
One of the things I asked him about today at the press conference too was if he was impressed that this team has, a collective ability not to care about like the logo on the chest, right? Like they seem to attack everyone. And that was a thing over the last couple of years that we struggled with at times, right? If it wasn't a big name logo, we wouldn't necessarily, rise to the occasion. And, his answer was just it tells so much about what that culture is like in the locker room, right? Because he says, everybody wants to get better on this team. If we're not better a month from now, we're not doing something right. And he goes, they're probably walking into practice today saying, hey guys, we got to get better at this and this. He's like, they're hungry. They want to be something, right? Like that, like as a team, they want to be something. And that's, I think, the aspect of, we heard for so long player first, and now it finally feels like, Kentucky first, right? Like, and Mark Pope's really making Kentucky great again from that perspective.
Yeah, it's exciting, man.
With the psychology stuff, talking about approaching every game, I was trying to find if he has a degree in psychology. I don't think he does. It appears that he has gone through the master's program for psychology. He breaks down research papers and different articles and stuff and things that have been published about how to uplift a team and how to make sure that every game is the same, and he implements them. And he talked about after the Duke game, they didn't focus on any of the things that they did wrong. They only focused on the things they wanted to add. And there was a paper that was published that says that is significantly better than focusing on what you need to get rid of. So it's he's obviously researched, he's obviously committed to it, but you can see that he has instilled it in his players, because the drop off from Bucknell look ahead to the game of Duke to the hangover of Lipscomb, there wasn't a drop off. It was the same game 3 times in a row.
Right. Yeah. It seemed like the last couple seasons, there was always that one game that would sneak in and we'd lose, a team that wasn't ranked very high or a team we should have beat by 50, and I felt like that with the last couple of years, the teams we've had the last couple of seasons, I think we'd have lost that Lipscomb game because we won that big Duke game, and there's that one we're supposed to beat Lipscomb, we're supposed to beat Jackson State tomorrow. It's like I feel like part of me is like this Lipscomb game, they're going to come out on fire, we're going to be dead because the crowd's not going to be up for it, and then we end up winning by another 30 some points. It's just I feel like we haven't even hit our peak yet. I mean, to watch that Duke game, man, I came home. I was in Gatlinburg that night. I was playing 2 shows, so I had to watch from my hotel room. I was screaming, jumping. My father-in-law was with me. He's an Indiana fan. He was into it too. And so I told my wife, I was like, tape this game so I can watch the second half when I get home. And man, the way we started that, the second half, we were down. I think we were down 9 at the half. I was a little nervous.
I think it was 7 and a half.
It was 7 or 9. Yeah. And so I was like, man, we've lost, 6 of the last 7 games in the Champions Classic, and I haven't been exactly the happiest person watching the Classic the last few years. And finally, to get a win in that was like celebrating the championship, man. I mean, I was just so happy to get over that hump, beating Duke, beating Cooper Flag, and we didn't really play our best game. I mean, I thought we still haven't hit our peak.
Agree.
I know there's going to be one game we play this season. We're just going to drill a team, and I hope it's an Auburn team or a Tennessee or something.
They're gonna hit 23s in a game.
I guarantee.
Yeah. They're gonna roll somebody in the SEC by 30 or 40, and they're gonna hit 23s.
We were talking about that, through the game. I looked at Jaden. I think I even tweeted it out, something, if Kentucky can just play solid for the last 10 minutes, they'll win. Because you had that feeling, right? Like they didn't play phenomenally well. It was frustrating from that perspective because I felt like I didn't feel like, and Jaden and I very much differ on this because I don't think Duke's I wouldn't put Duke in like the top 8 teams right now. And but like that was the part of that. You almost felt like they were trying to do, and not in a bad way, but maybe it was subconsciously trying to outperform what they needed to do, or what was expected. And then it just kind of settled in, right? Like, hey, we don't have to do too much, just be who we are. And I think the biggest thing that we were surprised with, and I'm sure you were too, is being able to win a game ugly, right? And that was something I think we didn't really know if this team was capable of.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when I went to practice, I've been a fan of the Colin Chandler kid. When he was recruited, I started Googling him catch him on YouTube, and I just like he's athletic. Like they're saying he hasn't got his legs back. He didn't play ball for 2 years. I was really impressed with him in practice, and of course he's not really he hasn't really hit his peak in the games yet. I'm kind of he's just been a little inconsistent. But I mean, like you said, he hasn't played ball in a couple of years. I mean, I can imagine he's slowly going to get back into the grind. But man, he is so athletic. He was just uncanny in practice when I went. So really excited to see him come around. We got a lot of weapons on this team. It's just I'm really excited for the season. I didn't know what to expect when the season started. We didn't have any. We're used to getting superstar players, and it's just like these guys just play team ball. They don't seem jealous of each other. They can make open shots. Kobe Bree, I don't think every time he shoots the ball, I feel like it's going to go in every time.
Shooting 79% right now.
I mean, Pope did a fantastic job putting this team together for his first season. I didn't expect a lot his first season, but here we are. 4-0, going to be 5. I'm assuming we're going to be 5-0 going into the next week. So sure feels good.
Well, this team can't. This team has to. I think the biggest thing that this team needs to not do is lose to somebody that not necessarily like. I'm not saying that you can't lose a game you're favored in the SEC because there's a lot of you're athletic. You can have an off shooting night, right? But I'm talking about like the kind of losses we've had over the last couple of years where there's teams with names that we should never lose to, especially in Rupp. And we've seen, there's a long line of those teams that have been coming in and out. And I think that that's something that we hopefully right the ship on. But when you look at the schedule now, like you look at the schedule and go, all right, if they get to Gonzaga without a loss, and let's just say, let's toss that game up there. If they win that game, there's a good shot they're going undefeated in conference.
They might. They might. I mean, I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, and not a lot of people expected Pope's first season to be like this. I mean, most people probably wrote Duke to beat us, it's just like I feel like we just haven't seen our best team. I mean, this team, there's exciting to watch, and Pope, just a new coach at the helm with a new offense, new defense. We actually play defense. Point guard's great. I didn't know what to expect out of Lamont Butler. I knew he came from good stock, but it wouldn't shock me, man, if we go to the SEC undefeated. I mean, one thing that people I've seen online is, people's writing us off against Gonzaga, and I don't see that. I mean, I thought Duke would have beat us before Gonzaga. I mean, I've watched Gonzaga play a half. I mean, they're okay. I mean,
I think Gonzaga is better than Duke. But
yeah, I agree, and it's like we're going to be on their home court. I understand that, but
we're also playing in Seattle, which is different. If we were playing here, I mean, could you imagine if that game was here this year? This place would be nuts.
Yeah, it'd be crazy, and I mean, it wouldn't shock me to win the game. I mean, I'm not going to say they're going to get beat by Gonzaga. I think we're going to go undefeated in the SEC play. I think we beat Louisville. I think we beat Clemson. I mean, I think we're going to beat Louisville.
I think we're going to beat Louisville by 1,000.
I think so too. I don't think Louisville has a chance against that. Of course, I haven't seen them play. I did see they beat Bellarmine, and I like to see the rival get back to where it was, but it's at Rupp this year. I just don't see Louisville beating us at Rupp.
Do you think Mark Pope is surprised by where this team is right now? Like, I know you said you're surprised, but do you think that there's probably a little bit of a surprise in the coach of like, I thought maybe this is a growth year, but we might actually be onto something and now have a shot to make a big run?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. I mean, he seems like he knows what he's doing. I mean, we're getting these players in. I mean, the Kobe Bryant kid was what at one time the best shooter in college basketball last season. He's probably going to be the same this season.
He was the number one 3-point shooter last year. He was the guy. He was the guy that we got that everybody wanted. UConn wanted him. Duke wanted him. North Carolina wanted him. We got him, right? Like that was kind of like one
Kobe
of the
Bryant was the star of the transfer portal. That was the one that we got over everybody.
Mm-hmm.
He was expensive.
Yeah, and he was worth whatever he cost. He's worth every penny of it because man, I feel like he's going to be the guy who's going to get the big shots in the tournament. It's just gonna keep us rolling. What a great jump shot and great kid. He's actually when we were walking out of Rupp practice that day, my son, he's 4 years old, and my dad, and my wife came with me, and Kobe Bree was at the water jug getting some water before he walked out on the court. And I was like, hey, would you mind if my son got a photo? He's like, no, not at all. Well, my son takes off running, scared to death. And little did he know he ran from the best shooter in college basketball. I can't wait to tell him that one day, man, because Kobe was just so nice, and the players are just so great. So to see him win and beat these teams, and it's just, man, it just feels like we're finally back, and I'm pumped to wear these Kentucky shirts around Nashville.
I think the number one piece of it is like the team has a connection, and I think I mean, it starts with Mark Pope on that, right? But the team has a huge connection um, with with the fans, and I think that has to do with Mark, and it has to do with the players. I think you know. The players, I think, emulate the coach in a lot of ways, right?
Yeah.
And for them to be approachable, and they engage with fans on social media. You've seen the staff engage with fans on social media, so I think it's like a different level of engagement, and it's something that I think the players are really feeling, uh, that support, but also I think the fans are feeling the love back, which is something that we have not. I don't know the last time we've seen that. I mean, early Cal maybe when he would really engage, but it was always indirect. It was out somewhere. There wasn't that personalized, like Kobe Bryant will like tell people happy birthday,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the kind of thing. Jackson Robinson, Rando on our team. Rando does this thing, and he was in his military, because he's in the military. And Jackson Robinson says, "Thank you very much, and thank you for your service." And retweet. Like we never saw that kind of stuff. And it wasn't like he was trying to get his attention. He was giving him a compliment, right, about stuff. And it was just that's the kind of stuff I think you see that players don't often see, that you don't often see nowadays. And I think it's why this fan base has reacted so positively to them.
Well, the coaching staff seems like they've made it a point to do this as well. They said before the Duke game, they started their scout with highlights and the moments of the Duke Kentucky series. They're trying to make these people who didn't grow up, some of them didn't grow up, because I guess some of them did, but not all of them grew up Kentucky fans. Not all of them grew up. I mean, a year ago, they probably didn't root for Kentucky. But they're trying to make them into Kentucky fans and try to make them one of us. And you can feel that they feel it because of the way that they treat the BBN and act towards the BBN, embracing the craziness and the psychotic behavior that we have.
Well, I mean, JD would know this because we're close to the same age, but like, Travis Ford's coming on the show on Monday, and I mean, I was 6, 7 when he played. You were, 8, 9. I mean, the age of where people are now, that it's a big part of the fan base. They don't remember, Issel. They don't remember Walker. They don't remember, like, a lot of people don't even remember, Patino.
It's hard to believe in it. Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's I remember Tubby vividly. I met Tubby one time after a game.
Who the hell is Billy Clyde?
Yeah, well, they're just trying to erase those memories from our brains. That was terrible. But let's say I think that showing those videos, because so much of this fan base knows the John Wall type Kentucky, and they don't know what Kentucky was like before that. Yeah. And it's kind of crazy, but you gotta continue that education, because not everyone's a 60-year-old fan.
Yeah, I go way back, man. I was born in the early '80s, and really when the '90s rolled around is really when my memory remembers, the Leitner shot, and into the '96 Cats, '98, even the Bogans year in '03. I remember, I graduated college or high school in '01, moved to Lexington in '02 to go to UK, and I remember going to the Florida game when I think it was Bogans. Florida came in #1, and we beat the tar out of them. And,
wasn't that the first? That wasn't the time they did the stadium different colors. That was like the first time they did it, but that was in like '03, I think.
Is that the Dickie V? He needs a timeout.
I think it was Azubuike year. I can't remember, but I mean, all those great players up through the 2000. I mean, there was a couple teams in the 2000s thought we should have we should have won it. The Bogans year especially, he got hurt, I remember, and then we just never were the same team. And Chuck Hayes, remember all those guys? But it's really one thing I'm really excited about. I think the crowds are coming back to Rupp. I mean, I saw a photo of someone tweeted on Twitter this past week. I mean, it looked like almost a full house at the Lipscomb game. And so
I was in Rupp. It was pretty much full.
It seemed like it was packed. It's like it's just good to see life come back into Rupp, and all the fans. I mean, some of my greatest moments are Kentucky basketball games with my family and all these players. Travis Ford, man, I remember going to Rupp and seeing him. Man, my aunt and uncle had teams or had season tickets. And man, I used to go up. They'd have nosebleed seats, man. We take binoculars and look, and it just those are the good old days, man. And just so many great memories of so many great teams. And I really feel like this team is going to be one of those teams that you never forget. So
was that the 70? Was that the 70-55 game?
The Florida game?
03.
I think we beat the tar out of them because they came in number 1 and we could just do no wrong. I think the first half, or the first or second half was one of the best halves of basketball we played all season. It was just unbelievable. We could do no wrong.
Yeah,
I think Matt Bonner, yes.
David Lee,
and they had one more. Florida had one more stud.
Anthony Robertson.
Robertson was great, yeah. But man, I was at that game. I want to say that's when they.
Or was it Matt Walsh? I think it
was Matt Walsh. Yeah, it was Matt Walsh. Yeah. But man, what a game that was. There's so many games like that through my existence that I remember, and I feel like we'll have a few more of those as the season goes on. That we're just going to beat teams to death. I mean, like you said, Wood shot 20 to 33s a game. Make 20, and so we just got to. Bria's got to shoot more, man. He just got to keep shooting. Got to get him open.
Talking about your memories, what's your favorite game you've been to, and then the game that you didn't go to that you most wish you could have?
Probably my favorite game I've been to was the Tayshaun game where he hit like 6 threes back to back to back to back to back. And I was at that game at Rupp. I was a UK student back then, and I still remember exactly where I was sitting. I was in upper deck when they used to have the student section. I don't know if they still do. The student section used to kind of wrap up the side into the upper deck, and it was hard to get tickets back then. And seeing Tayshaun hit those 6-3, I think it was 5.
Was that against North Carolina when he hit
North Carolina?
When he pulled up from the logo.
Yeah, it was so loud. I mean, it's like my ears were just pouncing, man. I still remember that. And then one game I wish I'd have went to was I have a guy that I'm friends with in Indianapolis who owns a ticket company, Circle City Tickets. If you ever guys need tickets for ball games, he's a great connection. But he actually offered me free tickets, a suite, a box on the floor for the Michigan game when Harrison hit those threes. And I was in Nashville. I had a gig the next day. And it was like, should I juggle and go to Indy? And we had winning that game. Harrison hit those crazy last second threes.
I was there.
I was so mad at him. I actually gave my brother the tickets, and he went and had a blast. And I still regret not going to that game. But man, that Harrison run was magical, man. I'll never forget that season end, making it back to the Final Four, and Marcus Lee, and missing that Michigan game, man, was one I hated to miss.
Word of advice to all Kentucky fans: if you get a chance to sit in a suite for an NCAA tournament game, go every single time. It's okay. It's okay if you're tired or sleepy at work the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
Go to the game.
Yeah, don't be like JD. Don't be like JD and live with regret.
Yeah, don't. Exactly.
You're probably going to be tired at work the next day anyway. Like,
right, exactly. But
I've seen Kentucky actually make. I've seen Kentucky win a national championship in person, but I also have seen them win 2 Elite Eights in person. I am 2-0 in Elite Eight games.
Yeah, you got to keep going. We were going to go. If you remember the year that Kansas State beat us and PJ Washington missed all those free throws, and we were packing to go to. My wife and I were at home. We were living in Herman's at the time.
We were going to Atlanta.
We were packing to go to Atlanta the next day, and
Same.
we got the PJ Washington could not hit water. We fell out of
9 of 25.
Horrible. I never will forget that, man. And unfortunately, that's how I remember him, and missing those free throws to go to the Final Four. And just
that wasn't the Final Four. That was the Elite Eight.
It was Elite Eight to go to the Final Four.
Yeah, they were at the Sweet 16 playing Kansas State to go to the Elite Eight in Atlanta.
To play Loyola Chicago, right?
To play Loyola Chicago. Yeah. Had a perfect path to the title game. Blew it.
And they well, listen, at least we didn't have to go play that because they went to the Final Four, didn't they? Yeah. I mean, just think about it. Like, look, at least we didn't lose to them.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that was one of those teams of destiny too. Like, that would have been kind of crazy. Who was the team that they beat in the Sweet 16? Was it? I don't remember who it was.
Kentucky or K-State?
Loyola Chicago.
Oh, I can't remember. Y'all remember when we beat who was the team at the year that Wichita State when they're number 1? Remember that we beat them? They were undefeated.
Yeah, that was the
this
14. 13, 14.
Yeah. They were undefeated. People had us wrote off on that. We won that game. It was pretty spectacular. But
yeah, we were in the 8th seed. Yeah, so I remember because they beat Miami,
Nevada, Tennessee, and Miami.
to get there.
Is Tennessee going to be any good this year? I mean, I haven't really heard much about basketball. I know they lost. Connect was their man last year, but do we know much about Tennessee? Are they going to be tough? They're ranked in the top 20.
They're good. They are like top half of the SEC. I don't know that they're a contender.
Last year's thing.
I don't know that they're a contender, but they're good.
They're normal Tennessee. They're not a Final Four contender. Just normal Tennessee.
I would say that's probably correct. Yeah.
Yeah. I figured
they're going to win 1 or 2 games. Like everybody's going to go crazy, and then it's going to be just like the history of the universe. Tennessee has never made a Final Four.
That's right.
It is in you know what? I think it'll extend to 115 years this year that they'll still have never made a Final Four.
And I'm fine with that.
I mean, it is the most in our lifetimes, we have seen so many things in sports and so many fun stuff go. The curse of the Billy Goat, the curse of the Bambino. I remember when the New England Patriots were doo-doo. All the fun things have been taken from us. All the fun hexes and curses, except one. And I think we need to come up with a good name for it, because no team around 115 years that talks that much shit should not have a curse named after them.
True.
JD, I think you should write a song about it. The curse of Rocky Top.
The day they make one, though, you might as well just delete Twitter.
Oh,
yeah.
Just get off Twitter. Run away.
Why does
last year was a perfect opportunity. They had it made. I mean, connect, and he was just player of the year and playing great and blew it. I mean, they had.
Have you met Rick Barnes? Rick Barnes ain't
never have. No, I've never met him.
Rick Barnes is the king of doing less with more.
Well, I was actually down the road at a restaurant last weekend, and I'm going up to the counter there to order my food. It was a brewery down the road, and I had my Kentucky shirt on. And this guy goes, "Oh, Kentucky fan, huh?" It's like, "Man, basketball should be good this year. Y'all probably beat us again." And I was like, "Well, I hope so." And I said, he had a Tennessee hat on. I said, "I'm assuming you're a Tennessee fan." He said, "Oh yeah." And he totally was, ready to write Rick Barnes off. I was shocked. I mean, I'm like, man, he's done great with Tennessee. I mean, it's hard to make a Final Four. We know that, but
he's done it. It was the same thing. He's basically done the same thing at Tennessee that he did at Kansas, right? Like, it's the aspect of having talent, but he doesn't get anywhere.
Or Texas, yeah. So
Texas.
that's what
Kansas.
he said. He said he
Not
couldn't
Texas,
he couldn't get to a Final Four with Durant. I mean, so that's their own fans saying that. So I was a little shocked, but yeah, anytime that we can beat Tennessee in basketball, I'm all for it. But I was curious. I haven't watched them play this year. I know they play tonight, so I'll be interested to see that game.
I was picturing Kevin Durant in a Kansas jersey when you said that. I was like, "That's not
my bad.
That's not what I'm looking at."
Yeah, my bad.
They would have won a title. They would have won a title with him at Kansas, I'm sure.
If Kansas ever had Kevin Durant, they'd have gone 40-0.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you so switch gears a little bit? We got a big football game this weekend. I am very much trying to talk myself out of doing something very irresponsible and reckless and picking Kentucky to win, because there should be absolutely nothing in my brain that should say that. But I keep looking at stats and I keep thinking that this is a very good game for Kentucky to do something really stupid in. It would also be really, really funny. And it seems like it's something we might do. Are you going to get to watch the game? And what do you think about this weekend and our chances?
I'm actually heading to Kingsland, Georgia this weekend to play a festival down in South Georgia, all the way to almost to Florida. So I'll be on the road, but I'll be listening for sure. I mean, it's been a disappointing season, I must say. But, I did read online that we've got some of our players back, I guess, a few more that are ready that hadn't played the last few games, that maybe it'll help. But I don't have the greatest feeling. I mean, I haven't watched Texas play a game all season. I know they're ranked, 2 in the country right now? 3 in the country.
Is it 3? I think it's 3. Yeah, 3.
Which, if we can do what we did go down to Ole Miss like we did in the season and beat them, I mean, anything's possible. I understand that. I'm never going to say count Kentucky out, because, when you do that, it's when we slip up and win a big game. But I ain't got a lot of faith. I mean, I'm just I'm not really sure what to think. I know we got Louisville after that, which will be a tough game as well. They're kind of struggling right now too. So I'm not sure.
We can do the funniest thing and still beat them.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me.
I think we can beat them. I don't think they're that good. I mean, I don't
Did you
think
see the
that
line
they're
came out today?
for that game.
Yeah,
What
Louisville
is it?
3.5.
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, that's fair.
Cash it in.
Oh yeah. Well, if I actually think I'm going to do that parlay. That might
Are
be
you gonna do it?
$1,000. I think I'm going to try it because it'd be crazy. I think. Listen, I'm going to go into this in some mad detail tomorrow, and Jaden's going to probably like not know what to do. But the stats tell me that this Texas team is ripe for the picking on Saturday.
I'm excited for these stats.
Dude,
because I didn't find them. There's one, but
there's multiples actually if you look at it. But the thing about it is that gets me. Well, like it's the number one because like he's gonna actually play good. Like that's the number one issue in this. If I knew that they were gonna play good, I'd really want to pick them because I don't think I think Texas is a little bit of fool's gold. I don't think they're bad. I just don't think that they're the juggernaut people think they are.
Yeah. Only thing I hear is it whose son plays for one of the Manning kids' sons? Cooper Manning.
Cooper, right?
I hear his name, here and there, but I don't know much more about Texas than y'all do. So who knows?
They wear orange. They go by UT. That's all you got to know.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see, man. I don't know. I mean, gosh, if I was a bet man, I probably wouldn't bet on Kentucky, but I'm sure we have Stoop has to have a game plan. We can't go down there and think we're going to get beat. We got to go in there with confidence. We're going to win this game and do what we did at Ole Miss, and hopefully they'll have a bad game and we'll come out and play hard and win. But we're due something big, man. We're due. So
Kentucky is 2-2 in their last 4 games against top 10 teams, and they're 2-1 when their last 3 road games against top 10 teams. Every game against the top 10 team, those last 4, they've either had a chance to tie or take the lead in the fourth quarter.
So we're bowl eligible. Game. We're bowl eligible if we win the last 2, right? Can we be? That's.
Hey, listen, I'm gonna tell you right now. If we beat Texas, Kroger Field is gonna be nuts.
Nuts, yeah.
Nuts
at noon.
At noon. At noon. Which I still don't know how the fuck that happened because like you're sitting over here doing this and. It's a flex game. 3:30, 4:30, 7:30, 7:45, and then all of a sudden it's like noon.
They essentially the big
flex
guns.
Their own rule.
The big guns gave the people who made that decision the middle finger essentially and said, "We're actually not going to do what you did. Let's do something else instead." And that's how we ended up at noon.
We literally had sat and talked about how we hadn't had a noon game, hadn't had an afternoon home game for Kentucky Louisville in a long time because they're always at noon. And wouldn't you know it, we jinxed the hell out of that.
We talked about never doing a noon pregame show for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Like a month and a half ago.
There goes that idea.
We'll see what happens. Got to win it.
What's your score prediction for the game tomorrow night?
Kentucky by 39 or 40, I'm sure. I think Jackson State. They're not a great team. I think I saw the comparison was like Kentucky.
They do rebound well, though. That is the one thing that Mark Pope said today. They have a plus 13 rebounding advantage on the offensive boards for through the first 5 games.
Yeah, Kentucky's going to win. I mean, I'd say 30. I'm going to say Kentucky by 30. I mean, I was been spot on the last 2 games, so I've got pretty good odds right now. So.
They lost to Western. For anyone who wants to keep up, they lost to them by 17, and then we play Western next, I believe, right after Jackson State.
I think so.
So if you want to get a gauge and a bar for where we are compared to Western, you'll know that probably with that game.
Yeah.
Well, JD, I'll let you go. I know you're a busy guy. We got a couple other things to talk to, but appreciate you jumping on the show.
Appreciate y'all having me. Go Cats, man. And
yeah, man.
Let's celebrate this season so far, man. I'm really excited to see what's ahead of us.
I'm sure we'll talk to you again before the end of the season.
Sounds good, man. Go Cats.
Right, appreciate it, JD.
See you,
man. So it's Thursday. And we got football.
Yes. Can we mention the
I
snow first before we
oh yeah,
transition?
yeah. What a day already, right?
Well, I went into class and I'm looking up and it's sprinkling a little bit, but a couple of them are flurrying, and I'm like, well, it really wants to snow. So I send the tweet. It's trying to snow. It's flurrying. I walk out of class and there is like snow sticking to the ground everywhere that I was unaware of. But yes, Lexington has not a amount of snow that changes anything in your life, but you can see it for the first time of the year.
Well, it was interesting, right? Because it was um really snowing hard. I mean, you didn't think it was going to stick anyway because it's been too warm. But I was surprised how hard it started snowing. Like I walked outside and I brought my garbage can in. I'm like, why is the wind blowing and why is there so much snow hitting my face right now?
Yeah, so that was I missed the actual falling of the snow. I went into class with no snow, walked out of class with a bunch of snow, but I'm sure that was fun if you were
I
out at
was
that time.
driving to Mark Pope's press conference in all of the snow.
What song do you play when you're driving in the snow to a Mark Pope press conference?
I don't know. It's just my mood. I listen to news a lot, man, and stuff now. Like I've gotten old. Right? Like, I remember when it was, throw a playlist on and hit music and all this. And now
Bluetooth is too tough. It's too many buttons.
no, I mean, it's not that I don't do it. It's just not like my priority now. I'm just trying like I catch up and try and, I got Rugrats in the house. And so when I can actually have time where I can, be informed of things that are going on, I tend to try and take advantage of it.
Yeah, that is very old.
I am almost old enough to be your dad.
Close, I guess. Yeah.
I mean, I'm
I
almost
mean,
40.
in theory, it's possible.
I mean, not even in theory. I mean, it wouldn't even be. I mean, there's a lot
Yeah.
younger fathers out there besides me in life, but this is the weather today. Now it needs to be a little colder, maybe for like a little longer stretch. This is the weather today. I'm like, yeah, we need this for the football game on the 30th.
It needs to snow the entire time. I want
Be
to.
great.
What you need to get there when there's no snow. It needs to begin snowing when the game is going. Once you're in
First
your seat,
defensive possession.
so it's not wet.
No,
You want to
first time you're on defense.
you want you can't
Just
get
to
the
make
seat
the
wet.
crowd go nuts.
You can't get the seat wet. It's got to snow once everyone's in their seats, so you can keep the seat dry, keep the butt warm.
Correct.
Yeah, but snow
Butts in
need it.
seats.
Yes.
Preliminarily, what is your thoughts for a score prediction on Saturday?
I think they'll cover, which I'm surprised I'm saying, because
You don't want to know
things
it. I put a score down on the thing already, and I don't even know if I'm going to keep it, but that's my gut feeling right now.
things on a data sheet don't look good. Things on film also don't look good, but for some reason they aren't blowing teams out when they're supposed to be blowing them out, and for some reason the only games we haven't covered this year are the games where we're favored.
The only
We have,
game that they actually had a blowout in really was Florida.
yeah, but I think they're 2-3 as a double digit favorite against the spread, and we're like 4-0 as a double digit dog, or 3-0 or something. So the
We
betting trends say we cover.
well,
Betting trends also say we lose
well,
because we don't pull many of these upsets. But
so 6 of the 8 teams that Texas plays this year are in the bottom 7 in the
bottom
SEC
7
of the league. They've played 2 teams with a winning record to this point. So some of the stats offensively and defensively are a little bloated. But you've seen them struggle also against teams that aren't good at all, like Mississippi State. I think Texas is better. I mean, obviously, Texas is better than Oklahoma. I would be curious what Texas's record would be if they had played Oklahoma's schedule.
do you have Oklahoma's schedule? Do you want to play the experiment? I can find it too.
Yeah.
Because I kind of think Texas is a lot better than Oklahoma. I mean, Oklahoma's offense is horrendous, defense is great. Texas's defense is better. and their offense is as good as the
So
defense, almost as good
if
as
you
the defense.
so if you want to look at it, they play Temple. So I would say there. Houston, they barely beat Houston, and Houston's not very good.
Oklahoma barely beat Houston.
Yeah, but I think Texas would have won that game.
Yeah, Houston's best player is on Texas. So
Tulane, I think Texas would win that.
yeah.
Tennessee, I think that would have been a toss-up.
Where would it have been? Oh, it would have
At
been at
Texas.
Texas. I'll
Yeah.
take Texas.
At Auburn,
I'll take Texas.
and then they would have played. Obviously, they played Oklahoma, so that's kind of a wash. South
I'll take
Carolina
Texas. Where's that game at?
in Texas.
I probably do because Texas's tackle duo is both going to get drafted in the first round. So of teams that can handle South Carolina's edges, Texas might be the one. But the way to beat Texas is to get pressure, and if anyone can get pressure, it's Georgia and South Carolina. Georgia did.
Ole Miss.
Where?
At Ole Miss.
That's a 50-50 toss-up. Maybe
Maine.
I'd probably pick Ole Miss.
Maine.
Yeah, Texas.
At Missouri.
Texas.
They finished the season with Alabama and LSU.
Where are those games?
Alabama at home, LSU on the road.
I would say Bama's close win. Probably.
But why do you say Texas? Here's the why do you say Texas? Because if you just look at the stats, you might say Texas. But if you look at the stats against the teams that you're playing against, would you still say Texas? Because a lot of those yards, a lot of those points are coming against teams that aren't as good.
It's because I don't see the weakness outside of running the ball.
But they haven't played anyone. Like that is the ultimate number one thing. They've played two teams with a winning record, Vandy and barely won, and Georgia and lost.
But they have played separately good offenses and good defense. Like Oklahoma's a very good defense and a terrible
But it doesn't
offense.
matter. Oklahoma's also a team that if you jump on them, you can get them, right? South Carolina did the exact same thing to them. So it wasn't like Oklahoma's it wasn't like Oklahoma or Texas the only team that kind of whipped up on Texas or on Oklahoma this year. It's happened multiple times.
So do our stats not count because our schedule has been too hard?
I think our stats are probably not as bad. I mean, offensively, I think our stats are what they are. You know, maybe it's marginally better because, I mean, here's the difference. Kentucky's played 4 top 10 teams this year. And I think then if you look at 4 of those teams, then you look at all these other teams that have winning records, right? So Kentucky's played a much tougher schedule to this point. They are much more battle tested than Texas is going into this game. I think defensively I think we're probably better defensively than Oklahoma. I think we're better defensively. I think we're better defensively than a lot of other teams.
We're better defensively than a lot of other teams. I don't know that I'd definitively say we're better than Oklahoma. I'd say
we've been statistically better. We've been statistically better than Oklahoma all season. 100%. We like there's a whole comparison of it, like after 5 weeks, because everybody was saying how good Oklahoma was. It was after they played Tennessee, and they were like, like Kentucky's better at everything.
But after 5 weeks, after 5 weeks, things got significantly worse.
But it hasn't gotten significantly worse on the defensive side of the ball. It
has been significantly worse.
Where?
Well, the rushing defense has given up over 48% success rate.
Was in one game. Stretch. That was basically in one game.
It was the 4-game losing stretch. They gave up 48+% success rate on rushes in 4 straight games. The 4-game losing stretch. The passing defense is worse than that. So it's not like the defense has really struggled the last month. They're still good, but they're not win you a game good. The 4-game stretch.
I think they're much more. I think it's much more of it now. I think it's much more of it can win you a game now because they've got a lot. Because they're healthy. They're healthy, right? The big uglies for the most part on that front 7. We're missing one guy from the front 7. And I think Afari is good enough in one game, I think Afari can be a crazy disruptor. So I think from that perspective, also like the team, it was beat up, right? Like you can't have the offense going 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out all the time. That was a problem. I mean, but also if you look at it, we still should have beat Vandy. Probably still should have beat Auburn. And that's crazy. Like if you win those 2 games, what are we right now? 5-4?
I mean, yeah, if you added 2 more wins, we'd be 6-5.
6-4.
6-4, yeah, 6-4. Yeah.
Imagine how different the season feels right now if they're 6-4 going into this Texas game.
It would be significantly different, and the gap between Texas and Kentucky and the results would look significantly different, and I'd be much more confident going into this game.
But it's also a trap game.
Yeah, there is potential for trap game. I mean, there is a way to talk yourself. When you put out the case for upset, it makes sense. You have the recipe for upset. I just am not picking it. But like I understand your case for upset.
What do we think about? All right, well, we'll talk more about that tomorrow, obviously. What do we think more and obviously we'll talk basketball tomorrow because there's a basketball game. I don't feel like Kentucky tomorrow is going to have any kind of an issue. We'll give our score predictions tomorrow, but I think I definitely think it's another 30 to 50 point win.
I've done very preliminary looking at Jackson State. And from what I've found, it's not a good basketball team. And I'll leave that as my early scouting report. In case anyone was wondering if tomorrow was going to be difficult, I don't think we've played is this the worst team we've played so far?
Yeah. Well, no, not necessarily. I mean, if
We
you're
played
going
Wright
on at their level at Division I, yes. At Division I, it's
well,
not the worst.
I'm talking about just like not like the worst team ever, just like this season regular.
No.
Season
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm saying
right?
this season they're not I would say Wesleyan was probably the worst team we played because they're not,
Yeah. I'm just saying like regular
talent-wise,
season games. It's the worst regular season team we played so far.
I think this is the worst Division I team we've played.
Yeah.
Probably the worst Division I team we'll play all season.
I would think that's probably right. I can't remember who some of those other small schools are, but I know Western's in there, and Georgia State. I mean, I don't know everything about Georgia State. In fact, I would say I know nothing about Georgia State, but I'll take them over Jackson State if I was blindly guessing. Yeah, I mean, tomorrow is an opportunity. We'll talk more about it tomorrow, but the game's an opportunity for switch your rotations up, have people play together that don't normally.
Georgia State is 2-2.
It's better knowing 5.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know what the schedule comparison is, but
they actually got drilled.
Georgia State.
Yeah.
By who?
Mississippi State.
Who'd they beat?
Ball State and Toccoa Falls.
I hear good things about them.
I've never even heard of Toccoa Falls.
Got to get your knowledge up.
Have you heard of them?
No.
Exactly. Shut up. They play Colgate.
They could be good, decent, maybe potentially.
Let's see where Colgate is. Colgate is 1-3, so they're kind of, they're kind of in that mold of probably not very good at basketball.
They're washed.
And then we play Brown.
Oh man, I'm excited for that one.
Brown is 2-3.
So yeah, it's probably the worst team we play. So this is an opportunity for rotation changes.
Over under the Kentucky boys playing 7 minutes tomorrow.
Total?
No, each 7 minutes.
So 14 total. I'd say over.
I think that's fair. I think over under we score 110. I'm gonna go.
I'll say under because you gotta, even playing against bad teams, you gotta have some things go right to get to 110. You gotta hit a lot of shots.
I don't think this team defensively can stop us, but
I don't either, but I don't know that we've played a team other than Duke that can stop us. What we've done is we've played a lot of good offenses to test our defense and to figure out things on defense. We've played a lot of specific types of players. The Ogsinovich guy, the center for Bucknell, Williamson. Yeah, that was his name.
Mhm.
They're playing like specific guys that present weird matchups. They're playing specific offenses that are weird. Like even Wesleyan runs an offense that's a little like complicated for things. I know they talked about Lipscomb's offense being it's slow, but like it's meticulous, and they'll grind you down for 30 seconds and get a good shot. So I think that they've not played a lot of good defenses, and I think we might be seeing what happens when they play bad defenses. Now it won't be tomorrow; might be the worst, but you still got to hit like what you got to hit like 55% from three to get to 110, probably.
Possible.
It is possible. I'm gonna bet against it.
It looks like one of Texas wide receivers might not play this weekend.
Oh, that would be massive. Which one is it?
More.
Well, that's not as massive as I was hoping.
So I don't know if CJ Baxter was the guy they lost for the year, right?
Yeah, Baxter was lost in the summer.
Yeah. So they got Blackwell, Vasic, and Moore are all questionable.
More wide receiver.
Yeah.
Ooh,
DeAndre Moore.
Let me check out the
And then
stats for them.
I actually was surprised that Nichols and Waller are out.
Yeah, had you heard anything on Nichols?
No.
Waller was out.
Yeah, I'm surprised by that.
They asked Chris Collins yesterday and mentioned Waller being healthy, and Chris Collins didn't say he wasn't. But I guess that's an unfortunate development.
I mean, it would have come out before he said anything.
No, it came out. It came out after the availability report.
Oh, okay.
They come out like late.
Interesting. Yeah, it says Waller out, Waller, Dunn, and Nichols, and it says Dever and Rayner is out, but he was supposed to redshirt anyway, so I'm not.
Yeah, is he coming back for sure? I feel
Yeah.
like they had said something about.
No, he's supposed to come back.
Okay.
From everything I've heard.
So. I thought I had read something about them saying he wasn't anymore, but I guess I'm misremembering something. Yeah. The receiving more. He has 20 catches for 200 yards, 5 touchdowns though. Yeah, he's not a starter or anything. At least I don't believe so.
Well,
But, still, the depth of the wide receiver room is what makes it so special. None of them have crazy numbers. Like none of them have over 500 yards receiving. The tight end leads them in receiving, but they have a bunch of dudes with a bunch of receptions and a bunch of yards, and all of them are really good.
Well, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting weekend of college football. That's for sure. But we'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk more about the game. We'll talk more about obviously the basketball game tomorrow. We'll talk a little bit more football. We'll see if we'll see if I've calmed down from thinking something just absolutely psychotic. I don't know why. I want to pick Kentucky to win this game. I really don't. But I'm having the same kind of thing. The same deja vu and having the same thought process that we did against Ole Miss.
So if you pick Kentucky, what is best case scenario?
You're 24-23.
You're a genius. What is worst case scenario if you pick Kentucky and they lose?
Nothing, because everybody's going to laugh.
You gave it a shot. Like
I went with a gut. Yeah. If I pick them, I'm going to dunk on everyone and say that I know more football than everybody. And if they're wrong, I'm just going to say I was just having fun, guys.
And if you don't pick them and they win, then you're really sad.
Then I look like Errol. Then I look like you.
You look like me. Exactly. You just pick the team that loses every time. You look like me. It's not fun. So I think you should pick them. Like, what's a worst case scenario?
I haven't.
You had faith in your team. Worst case scenario.
I haven't picked Kentucky to win against Ole Miss, Georgia, or Tennessee, and every game was close.
Yeah, I've picked them to lose all of them.
So I don't know. I feel like maybe I need to continue and just pick them to lose because I feel like that's like, or like if I say they're going to win, that I'm going to jinx them because now I'm going to expect it. And I don't know. Well, I got to get through this in my brain because we all know that I'm the jinx.
Well, I'm gonna pick Texas in case anyone was wondering. Spoiler alert. But I'm also the curse. So
You're only the curse if you pick them to win.
Well, they tend to play good when I pick them to lose.
Yeah, yeah. When we all picked them to win,
every time I think we're gonna get ran, they.
Remember when we thought we were gonna run South Carolina off the field? Good times.
I still believe if you can block Kennard and Stewart, South Carolina is fraudulent.
Yeah, I agree.
But if you can't, you're so screwed. And most teams can't.
So irritating to even think about. Thanks everyone for listening. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate JD coming on. We will be